Uh, Emmanuel had 5 rebounds last game. Kingston 4. How important is that guard rebounding?
Well, you can't have a good rebounding team unless you have good rebounding guards. Uh, I think Damian Dotson averaged around 6 rebounds a game, a little bit more. Armani Brooks around 6 rebounds. Kyler Edwards um, around 6 rebounds. Um, Quentin averaged around 6 rebounds. We've always had good rebounding guards.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson, please. Chancellor, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin. How are you?
Good, Chester. How you doing?
Doing well. Going back to that Texas Tech game, that was Christian Anderson's worst performance of the season. And just rewatching the game there, what allowed you guys to have so much success on him defensively, whether it's with the individual defense to the traps? What worked so well in that first game?
Yeah, I don't think you should ever look at what one player did. Um, if you take something away, you're going to give something up. Um, the guy that got open because of that was Petty, and he really hurt us with 4 threes, and that was a direct relation to Chancellor. I'm sorry, Chancellor Christian Anderson making the right play. So the way you look at it is not the correct way. Don't look at what his stats were and think we did a good job on him. Is complete could not be completely further than what really happened. He made the right reads. He gave the ball to the right people at the right time. Um, um, he caught. Um, he hurt us on the short roll with Toppin. He did. Texas Tech does a great job of filling in behind the rolls, and he made a great job of doing those reads. So, um, if you're going to judge somebody based on statistics, you're not really looking at the game.
We will go to Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle, please. Joseph, please go ahead, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning.
Kelvin, the next 5 or 6 days, the state's gonna probably be dealing with some pretty bad weather. Has that forced any adjustments to what you guys are going in terms of going and getting out of Lubbock?
Yeah, we're having to. I was just meeting with our travel people, mainly Bobby Champagne and Lauren, about we may have to spend the night in Lubbock and bus somewhere. We play in Fort Worth on Wednesday, so we may have to stay on the road and go to Fort Worth, but um, the the situation will dictate that for us, and we'll make the decision we have to make at the appropriate time. But yeah, all that's in play. We've looked at the weather and talked with our pilots and our travel people, and we'll be prepared the best we can.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Go ahead, Chris.
Kelvin, how has Toppin improved even from last season when he obviously was, had a great year too?
Um, I think he's the most efficient basketball player in the country. Um, there's no one more efficient. Everybody tries to take his right shoulder away. He's going to still go 11 for 16 or 10 for 15. He takes shots he can make. He's added the 3-point shot to his arsenal, which makes him dangerous. Um, I just love the way the kid plays. He plays with great focus. He doesn't have any highs or lows. Um, he's a great teammate. You can trust him in big games and big moments. Um, and no matter what team is playing against him, everything starts with what's your plan on topping. And I've yet to see anybody come close to stopping him.
We'll go back to Chancellor Johnson, please. Chancellor, go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin, I know attention to detail is important in every game that you play, but particularly when you play a team like Texas Tech that has, dynamic players as they do, how much more of that is enhanced? And to that point, what type of learning process when it comes to attention to detail has it been for some of your young players like the freshmen?
Um, that's been just part of their growth. Um, like I would say, the month of November was a crapshoot, coin toss, whether they'd be in the right place or not. But I understood that. They're if you got one, it's going to be a challenge. If you got two, you're trying to um, run across the road in traffic with a bottle of nitroglycerin in your back pocket. I mean, probably they're getting ready to do something to screw up, probably. But and to both those kids' credit, they've really improved. They've gotten better. Instead of making, a mistake every other possession, very rarely have two possessions in a row where one of them's not in the wrong place or forgot to take this guy or didn't get out to the shooter or something. Um, and we're not alone in that. Any team that plays freshmen, you're going to have to live with their mistakes until they can grow up and get more consistent. And they both have. The thing that both of them have going for them is they want to be good. They want to learn. Um, and they've got older teammates that really help them. Um, you can take a group of players, but they don't really become a team until everybody's comfortable in what they're doing, and then they start getting excited for other players when they do good. That's when you know you have a good team. And our team has really grown in that way. But it starts with our freshmen um, learning how to defend actions. Um, but I give a lot of credit for that, though, to our Emmanuel and Ramon, Jojo, Milos. Those guys do a great job of taking pride in making sure those guys are in the right spots. I may coach them in practice, but during games, you can see all those guys when they're on the floor with them, making sure they're doing the right thing. And to Chris and Kingston's credit, they're great listeners. They have great attitudes. They're tremendous, tremendous young men, and they've got a lot more consistent in that area.
We will go to one second here. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Go ahead, Chris.
Kelvin, how have you seen Milos improve as defensive player?
Well, Milos doesn't have great athleticism, so he has to have great anticipation. He has to have great awareness. Um, the best defensive players are the ones that are really smart. The thing about smart players never underachieve um, because they know exactly what it is. They know exactly what their responsibilities are, and they get there. Sometimes if Milos gets in space, he has to make a decision on distance from the ball and knowing what he can and can't do. He's a tremendous shot. He does a great job with shot contest. Um, you know, he's a kid that, and I mean this in the most complimentary way. Sometimes you forget about Milos because the guys that you're always focusing on are the guys that make the most mistakes. Um, I don't I don't pay a lot of attention to Milos because Milos doesn't make many mistakes defensively. He's usually in the right place, and he's really grown and come a long way from that area. When you think about all these kids when they come in here, um, they get a lot of stuff thrown at them, whether it's conditioning or weight room or um, position workouts, individual workouts, and that's before they get to me. So when we start teaching them, it's like signing up for a class that's it's going to go for a semester. You want to get an A in it, but you may get a C plus on your first quiz, or you may get a B plus on your second quiz. But when you start getting A's around November and December, that means you're probably going to make an A in the course. Last year early, he was probably at a C plus level in November, maybe B minus. But as the month started flipping over and the calendar started changing, Milos got better and better and better, which again is why I don't overreact to anything in November. Very little in December. I may voice a frustration here and there, but it's never really serious.
Thank you, Chris. Back to Joseph Duarte. Go ahead, Joseph.
Kelvin, staying on Milos and speaking of not overreacting, when he had that little stretch where maybe the shots weren't falling, um, what do you, if anything, tell a guy, or does he work it out himself? Is there a key to how a shooter maybe gets back on track if there's a little bump in the road, so to speak?
We actually were talking about that one day um, in a coaches meeting. Um, he, you could tell he was grinding. Part of Milos's strength, though, is his rhythm dribbles and creating space and stepping back and shooting the three. Um, um, we're integrating Kingston in at point guard too, and we have different things that we run where Milos is the point, and we have different things we run when Kingston's at the point. Um, so Milos, when he wasn't at the point, was becoming more of a catch and shoot guy. Uh, and it's he's always been the guy that throws it to the guy, like to LJ or to Emmanuel last year. So I respected the fact that he was going through that. Had a couple of my staff mention, um, I want to show him this, show him that, and that's the one thing where I had to make an executive decision. I said, leave him alone. You know, you're just painting the walls when he's already got them painted. He knows. Just leave him alone. He'll get there when it's time. And this was prior to the Cincinnati game. I think he might have struggled in the next game or two, but um, he's always trusted his work. One of the things I tell all our players is never let another person take your confidence away. That should never happen. You should not let someone affect your confidence. You own your confidence through your preparation. And I think all the work that Milos put in was his answer for whatever it was. And you can tell, um, his confidence, his voice, his ownership, his selflessness, been just such a great leader and a great teammate here, um, has allowed him to have the success he's having now. So, short answer though, Joseph, I didn't say anything to him, but I didn't allow anyone else to. Just leave him alone. He'll figure it out.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go back to Chancellor Johnson, please. Chancellor, go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin, rewatching that Texas Tech game, I noticed that Jojo seemed to make a lot of plays that didn't necessarily show up in the box score, whether it was
Oh, really,
deflections.
really, really, Chancellor? He does that 35 times a year.
Well, to that point, whether it's deflections, contested shots, or whatever, just in addition to him giving some post offense as well, what can you just share about his continued impact that he's made on your team?
Forget, don't say a certain game. You could have watched any game and came up with that conclusion. That's why he's a defensive player of the year. That wasn't a one-off. He did the same thing against name a team. He does the same thing game in, game out. His consistency and the way we play him, and we allow JoJo the freedom to do things that Josh Carlton couldn't do that. Um, the only guy I've had that come close, but he wasn't in the same category, would have probably been Reggie. Reggie was Bryson Gresham. Bryson Gresham, Reggie were elite pick and roll defenders. Um, but Jojo just checked so many boxes, and we just have what we call Jojo rules. Um, Jojo is a very smart defender. Um, his basketball IQ is really high. Jojo's a very smart basketball player. Um, he does things that disrupt, that you have to prepare for, but he never has a game that's any better than the one before. They're all the same to him.
Thank you, Chancellor. Got time for a couple more questions if we got them. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, go ahead.
Calvin, you mentioned the JoJo rules. With his instincts and smarts, do you have to allow him, to do things, that maybe you wouldn't allow another player to do?
Well, that's why they're called the JoJo rules. So, we have a rule in our defense where we stop the ball when it's being penetrated toward the middle, and then if it's passed, then we stunt the pass. And a lot of times, you're going to give up a three. If you're going to take something away, no matter what defense it is. Last time I checked, I haven't seen anybody pitch a shutout. I mean, they're going to score, but you got to decide as a coach what you're willing to give up. And a lot of times we'll give up contested threes. A lot of times it's hard on the back end of ball movement. The more the ball moves, the further behind you are the ball because you're trying to outrun it and you can't. But I saw JoJo do something at practice one day that I had not thought about because I've never had a five that could do it. Is that when we stunt the last pass, have JoJo go out and um, X out that last pass. And I'm not going to get into the X's and O's of it, but there's only one guy that could, and he did it naturally. And I said, um, and of course, we film all our practices and we have a monitor over on the sideline. So I said, Matt, pull up what JoJo did. Show me that last possession. So I blew the whistle and stopped practice, and we went over to the monitor and watched it. And I saw that JoJo realized that on the last stunt, when he left his man to go help, that he was not going to be able to get back. So JoJo just read that naturally, and he went out. So that's an example of what I mean by the JoJo rules. But there's nobody else on the team that can do that. They don't have his length, his athleticism, or his anticipation.
We'll get a couple more. We'll go to Joseph Duarte, please. Go ahead, Joseph.
Kelvin, since Khalifa missed those few games, he's come back now 5 games. What have you seen, or how have you thought things have been since he's been on the floor? Consistently these last 5 games.
Yeah, the thing that we're working with Khalifa on Joseph is just being more consistent with his motor. Um, at his size, we have a phrase, Kellen actually coined it, is sweeping the streets. That means that when somebody gets beat in the slot on a slot drive, is our bigs have to leave their man to come over and sweep the streets. You got to come block that shot. Don't worry about your man. We'll have somebody that will crack back onto him. But but that requires anticipation, but it also requires a high motor. Like Javier Francis was good at it. JoJo's elite at it. Bryson, Chris Harris, Radju. We've had a lot of guys that would come up their man to be a secondary defender and either go alter or block a shot. But Khalifa can be better than what he's doing, because he had no summer and he's missed so many practices with various injuries. When we can get him for practice for a 2 or 3 day stretch like this week, is a tremendous help for him because you realize how far behind he is on certain things. But health is his key. When he can come to practice every day, he'll get better because he's a wonderful young man, easy to coach, and he wants to do good. But his motor's not always turned on the way I want it turned on. And like I tell a lot of these kids, um, When I don't have to take my key and stick it in your ignition and turn it on, that's when I know you're going to get better. So um, he's been better at that, but he's got to be more consistent with starting his own motor and being responsible for his own effort without having somebody getting on him about playing harder. That's when he does that, he can really help because of his size, and he's smart. Khalifa has a good basketball IQ too.